Tempa Chendende Dejin Shepa Drachampa Yangdapa Tsope Sanje Ripa Dang Shapsu Tempa Dewa Shepa Jitin Jempa Jebu Doe Kalo Joa Lana Mepa Ladang Minamchi Tempa Sanje Jamdende Peljawa Shakya Tubala Shasalo Churu Chapsu Jiwo. Teacher, Bhagawan, Tathagata, Arhat, perfectly pure and complete Buddha, all-knowing, having poise, Sugata, apprehender of the world, navigator of beings to be subdued, incomparable, teacher of gods and humans. To the Buddha, the Bhagawan, the glorious conqueror Shakyamuni, we prostrate, make offerings, and go for refuge. The refuge and bodhichitta prayer. Sangye dang so chi cho nam la Jang cho ba du da ni cha so chi dai ge jin so ji pe so nam ji do la pen shi sang ye dro pa sho. To the Buddha, Dharma, and Sangha, I go for refuge until becoming enlightened. Through the merit of my generosity and so on, may I achieve Buddhahood to benefit all beings. To the Buddha, Dharma, and Sangha, I go for refuge until becoming enlightened. Through the merit of my generosity and so on, may I achieve Buddhahood to benefit all beings. The short Mandala offering. This ground, anointed with perfume and strewn with flowers, Mount Meru, the 4 continents, adorned with sun and moon, imagined as a Buddha land and offered thus, may all beings enjoy such pure lands. The 7-limbed prayer. I prostrate my 3 doors with a mind of respect and offer all actually arranged and mentally emanated offerings. I reveal all the downfalls and negativities that I have ever collected and rejoice in the virtues of individuals and superiors. Please remain perfectly abiding until samsara is no longer seen. I request you to turn the vast and profound wheels of Dharma. I dedicate the virtues of myself and others to the great enlightenment. The prayer of the lineage of gurus. Body born from 1,000,000 magnificent, excellent virtues, speech fulfilling the hopes of infinite beings, a mind that sees all objects of knowledge precisely, I bow my head to the chief among the Shakyas. Supreme sons of the incomparable teacher, carrying the load of all the conqueror's deeds by their emanations appearing in countless realms, I prostrate to Maitreya and Manjushri. The mother of conquerors is difficult to fathom. Precise thought is in commentaries written by Jambavvipa's ornaments, Nagarjuna and Asanga. I prostrate at the feet of those most renowned in the 3 realms. From these 2 great chariots come the excellent lineages of the paths of profound view and vaster deeds, their essential points gathered thoroughly and without fault. Prostration to the lamp, holding this treasury of instruction. Giving explanation through compassion, by seeing precisely and completely the essential points of all paths of Sutra and Tantra, holder of the conqueror's entire holy Dharma, prostrations to the glorious Losang Dragpa. I, seeing all the infinite teachings, supreme way of crossing for those entering the journey's liberation, moved by compassion to deeds skilled in method, prostration to the spiritual masters who make everything clear. and the great treasury of excellence, the prayer of the path to enlightenment. The kind master is the basis of all qualities, and proper alliance is the root of the path. By seeing this excellence and through much striving, bestow blessings to be devoted with great respect. This gentle support of freedom obtained this one time is most difficult to achieve. Knowing its great value gives rise to a mind seizing its essence constantly day and night. Bestow blessings to generate this continuum unceasingly. It is like a bubble in water, this constantly moving body and life. Thus remember the swift collapse of death. Beyond death, like body and shadow, white and black karmic results follow after. By gaining firm certainty in this, the mass of faults, subtle and very subtle, are abandoned, and the accomplishment of all virtuous collections completed. Bestow blessings to ever retain conscientiousness. The qualities of samsara are unfit to be trusted. The door to all suffering, do not be content with these enjoyments. By knowing its defects, bestow blessings to develop a great aspiration for the bliss of liberation. By that pure thought, great conscientiousness is drawn forth, and mindfulness and awareness of the individual liberation, the root of the teachings. Bestow blessings to make this the essential practice. Just as I myself have fallen into samsara's ocean, all living beings as mother are also like that. By seeing the responsibility for the liberation of beings, bestow blessings to be trained in supreme bodhichitta. However, by merely generating the mind, if not acquainted with the three aspects of ethics, enlightenment will not be attained. By seeing this excellence, bestow blessings to train with strong effort in the vows of conqueror sons. Pacifying distraction toward perverse objects, by way of proper analysis of the perfect meaning, bestow blessings to swiftly and continuously generate the path related to the union of calm abiding and special insight. Thus, becoming a vessel trained in the common paths, enter the Vajrayana, supreme evolution of all vehicles. Bestow blessings to engage the easy path itself, that sacred way of crossing for fortunate beings. The base of practice for the two aspects of attainment is when guarding the pure vows of commitment is found to be genuine and certain. Bestow blessings to protect them, even at risk of life. Then, by understanding properly the important points, which are the essence of the two stages of the Tantra classes, bestow blessings to practice according to these holy teachings with continuous effort in the supreme four-session yoga. Like that, may the spiritual friend revealing the gentle path and the friends of proper practice stand firm. Bestow blessings to quickly pacify the masses of outer and inner hindrances. In all rebirths, may I never be parted from perfect gurus and the enjoyment of the glorious Dharma. By utterly completing all qualities, paths and grounds, may I quickly achieve the state of Vajradhara. For this week's meditation, I thought we could do a reflection on the benefits of refuge. So, like most chapters of the Path to Enlightenment, the chapter 10 on refuge includes an explanation of the benefits of engaging in this practice. And for each of the subjects of the Path to Enlightenment, the idea is that if we develop a clear and intuitive sense of the benefits of the practice by doing analytical meditation on the various benefits of the particular realization of that chapter, then that will increase our motivation. So in going through chapter 10 so far, we haven't got to this explanation of the benefits of taking refuge. We'll come across it either next week or the week after, but it's a good subject for meditation. So this comes from page 317 of Path to Enlightenment, and as we'll see when we get to the commentary, Geshe gives an explanation of the benefits of taking refuge according to two different sources. So one is from the Sanga's compendium and the other is from oral traditions. But for the meditation, we'll do the Savo. It's the first. It's the explanation of the benefits of refuge as explained by a Sangha. So, as always, we begin our meditation by sitting in meditation posture comfortably, making sure our back's straight, hands folded in the lap, right hand on the left palm, with the thumb tips touching. Our head slightly tilted forward, eyes half open, half closed if that's comfortable. Mouth, jaw and tongue relaxed. Shoulders level and the arms extended slightly out from the body at the elbow. And then we said the mental motivation for our practice. We want to make the best use of this time that we spend in meditation. We know it will definitely bring some result because mind is a continuum. Every moment of mind links to and shapes the next moment of mind. So we gain the most value of this time that we spend in meditation if we see it in the broadest, most beneficial context that we can imagine. Thinking by this meditation on the benefits of refuge, I'm sowing the seeds of the actual realization of refuge. In particular, the realization of the actual Dharma refuge, being the path of cessation, all the realizations of the path of enlightenment. And the actual cessation of suffering, complete liberation and enlightenment. And we aspire to transform our mind in this way. Not only for our own benefit, not only because it will benefit those who are close and dear to us, but because every living being in psychic existence, every being we have ever encountered in this life, that we will ever encounter in future, and that we never encounter, is exactly the same as us. Only ever wishes for happiness. Never wishes for a moment's unhappiness. But just like us, has limited control over what they experience. for their sake, for the benefit of all, who have equally shown us the kindness of a mother, father, partner, dearest friend. Now we have the opportunity. It's our responsibility to find the way out of psychic existence for ourselves and others. So we reflect like that for a short time. Settle our mind further before the main meditation. For a short time, we meditate on the breath. Allowing our concentration to gather, to settle inwards, so that it rests single-pointedly on one object, the natural rise and fall of our breath. If our attention wanders, when we recognize that, gently, firmly, re-establish our concentration on the breath. Simply observing it as it rises and falls. So as a preliminary to doing analytical meditation on benefits of refuge, we can be aware of our current situation. what will happen in our lives is uncertain. What will happen in the lives of those that we love and cherish is uncertain. If we could control it, we would organise continuous good health, a comfortable life, joyful, supportive relationships with others, and all the objects and experiences we enjoy. But looking at our own lives so far, and looking at the lives of others, it's far from certain that what we would like and what we will actually experience will be the same. Unfortunately, people just like us, just like those that we love most, routinely experience physical illness, mental illness, the vulnerability of old age, sometimes physical or mental harm from others. Stress and worry from our workplace, sometimes from our families and our relationships. And we all know that we will die. When? We don't know. What our next life will be like? We don't know. If we look around us, we can see beings at the moment whose life is largely driven by fear or anger, competition, or the compulsive need to get more and more. And these can lead to conflict, lives full of hostility, patterns of addiction, and so forth. We all have the seeds of some of these patterns. What if our next life is shaped by that? On the other hand, in this life, we have the chance to develop extraordinary positive minds. How many of the 7 billion human beings on this planet have been exposed to the idea or to the aspiration to relate to every other living being from a genuine place of loving kindness? Whoever they are, whatever they have done or not done, whatever our history with them, whatever they believe. How many beings would have the idea that this is a value they could aspire to? Let alone have explanation of the methods to realise this aspiration. In our next life, will we have this opportunity again? Will our next life be about something supremely meaningful, something transformational? Or will it be a life that's just about how do I get what I want, when I want for myself and the people that I'm attached to, and not much else? So what can protect us amidst this uncertainty? Only trying to cultivate positive minds and the best we can to control our self-cherishing mind. Only by removing our self-cherishing and its causes can we remove our suffering and perfect all of our qualities. The cessation of suffering and the path, the minds that lead to it, are the actual Dharma Jewel. By practicing the methods taught by the Buddha, the conventional Dharma Jewel, we can protect our mind, set a safe direction for the rest of this life and our future lives. The reliable companions and support for our journey are the Sangha Jewel. According to a Sangha's compendium, if we develop these recognitions of reliance on Buddha Jewel, Dharma Jewel, and Sangha Jewel fully, we experience the following benefits. It's most useful not to think of these as just a list of ideas. Try and translate them into experiences of our own life and how our life would be transformed. Firstly, the more we have the understanding of refuge, the more merit we gain. This means that more and more everything we do is sustained by positivity. Refuge means we are always moving in the direction of more positive states of mind. And day by day, we are reducing, limiting, and harmful states of mind. In our own life, day by day, the qualities of enlightenment become a stronger influence. For example, imagine if generosity, just one of these qualities, was a much stronger force in our life. If we were easily, continuously, powerfully motivated to give, with no reservations. Imagine what our life would be like in 1 year, 10 years, 20 years. If it was driven by joy and generosity. Imagine this experience. The second benefit is gaining superior joy. There's a relationship between joyful states of mind and the mind of love. The mind that wishes for and takes delight in the happiness of others. How do we develop the mind of love? By reducing our self-cherishing. Only Dharma will oppose our mind of self-cherishing. Nothing else. No ordinary knowledge, no university degree, no possessions, no relationship, no wealth. Reliance on the Dharma, meaning doing our best to practice the Dharma, is the path to love, to great love, and so to superior joy. Imagine how it would be in our own life. In 1 year, 10 years, 20 years. If more and more, every being we come across was a cause of delight to us. Like being with our closest friend, our dearest family member. The third benefit is gaining meditative stabilization. At the moment, our minds are often agitated and unstable. We may aspire to be peaceful, but often when we sit down to meditate, we can be easily disrupted and distracted. Uncontrolled states of mind disturb our peace, fears, worries, irritation, resentment, attachment. How wonderful if we could easily maintain strong, stable meditation. How transformative would it be, for example, if we could easily sustain deep concentration on great compassion, great love, bodhichitta and wisdom? What if through concentration we could easily be mindful of our actions of body, speech and mind at all times, always keeping a positive motivation close to our heart? By relying on the Dharma, more and more we develop a calm, stable mind. So imagine this experience. The fourth benefit is gaining complete purity. A pure mind is one that is stable and loving. It is honest. A person with a pure mind would not just be about giving a positive impression. Their kindness would come straight from their heart, natural and spontaneous. The more we are like this, the more authentic we are, the more of a support we are to all around us. By relying on the Dharma path, settling our mind down, training in kindness, becoming clearer, the more like this we become. Imagine this experience and recognise it as a benefit of reliance on the Dharma. The fifth benefit is that we possess the great protection of the three jewels. The more we have refuge in the Dharma Jewel, the more we are protected. Dharma realizations protect us from fear. The more we reduce self-cherishing, the more we see there is nothing to fear. The Dharma path opposes our anger. The less anger we have, the less conflict we have in our life. We will be less likely to harm others through bodies or speech or hold harmful thoughts. Only the Dharma has the complete, reliable antidote to anger. Only Dharma can protect us from it. Imagine how protected we would feel if we had complete confidence, based on our own experience, that our peace could never be disturbed by anger. The next point is having the decrease and greater decrease of all obstacles and delusions and complete extinction of all defilements. How free we would be if, as well as our anger, all of our negative minds, attachment, ego, pride, jealousy, were completely subdued. How free we would be. We would be without obstacles to our love, our compassion, our courage, our wisdom. Imagine how free we would be. And recognise this as a benefit of relying on Dharma. The next benefit is becoming pure and among the highest of individuals. What is it right now that would make our life most useful? What would make our life really meaningful? When we've left this earth, what would we like to be remembered for? His Holiness the Dalai Lama says, the most important thing is to be a good human being. Geshe Loden continuously said, the main issue is having a good heart. A loving and compassionate person is the highest of individuals. Only the Dharma shows us how to train in kindness, train in compassion and love. Imagine how it would be to have our life shaped by continuous, natural, spontaneous kindness, compassion and love. And think of this not just as imagination, but as the future person we can be and will be through reliance on the Dharma. The eighth benefit is being like a great teacher with a pure and equal way of living and being pleasant and agreeable to celestial beings who love the doctrine. So the qualities of great teachers, for example in the Buddhist tradition, such as His Holiness the Dalai Lama and Geshe Loden, can feel way, way beyond us. We listen to the way they speak, observe the way they respond to others, see their unfailing generosity, experience their peacefulness. It can feel that there is a gulf between the way they live and our own mind and our own lives. At the same time, the essence of these great holy beings is simplicity. Simple, natural kindness, openness, reflectiveness, easiness, and good humour. These are the qualities that arise from developing a calm mind, from becoming kinder and more wise, opening up and becoming less bound up in ourselves. Allowing our Buddha potential to ripen in positivity. This is what Dharma shows us to do. Imagine how it would feel to have these qualities in our own life. Recognise them as what we can realise through the practice of Dharma. And we can dedicate the merit of our meditation, thinking through this time that we have spent on analytical meditation on the benefits of the Dharma as taught by our Sangha, step by step. Our reliance on the Triple Gem will become stronger and stronger. Step by step, we will reduce and ultimately remove all our negative minds. Step by step, our positive minds will flourish to their full potential. Step by step, for the benefit of every living being in this universe. We'll move closer and closer to the full realisation of enlightenment. Buddhahood for the benefit of all. and we can release our attention and complete the meditation. So, as I said, that those 8 benefits are explained on page 317 later in the chapter, and as with all of the contents of this chapter, or the Path to Enlightenment generally, a very effective way to familiarise ourselves with them is to do analytical meditation like this. So, where we're up to, we've talked about the fact that chapter 10, the explanation of refuge, has 4 main divisions, and at the moment we're going through the 3rd division, the way of going for refuge. So there's an outline of these 4 divisions on page 277. The 3rd division, the way of going for refuge, begins on page 293. It also has 4 parts, and the first of these, recognising the qualities of the refuge object, is by far the longest of these sections, and that's still where we are at the moment. And the explanation of recognising the qualities has 3 divisions, so it looks at the qualities of the Buddha, qualities of the Dharma, qualities of the Sangha. At the moment, we've been going through the explanation of the qualities of the Buddha, which is also the longest part of this subsection. The explanation of the qualities of the Buddha, in turn, is presented from the point of view of Buddha's body, speech, mind, and deeds, and have been going through the explanation of the qualities of the Buddha's body. And at the last session, we went through Geshe-la's explanation of Buddha potential, and at the end of that explanation of Buddha potential, he mentioned how it relates to the 4 bodies of a Buddha, which is the next subject. So there, Geshe-la lists the 4 bodies of a Buddha as the nature body, the wisdom truth body, the complete enjoyment body, and the emanation body. And the way he links the 4 bodies to the explanation of Buddha potential is that he explains that Buddha potential has two aspects. The first is developing potential, which is the continuum of our virtuous minds. And this developing potential ultimately becomes the Buddha's wisdom truth body, or the Buddha's omniscient mind. Our natural potential, which is the emptiness of our virtuous minds, ultimately becomes the Buddha's nature body. And Geshe-la also explains that these 4 bodies can be understood in terms of mental bodies and form bodies. So the nature body and the wisdom truth body are the mental bodies of a Buddha, and together, collectively, those 2 are often referred to as the truth body, whereas the complete enjoyment body and the emanation body are the 2 form bodies of a Buddha, and collectively they are called the form body. So Geshe-la then goes on, after having given that brief explanation of how it relates to potential, then on page 298, Geshe-la starts the actual explanation of the 4 bodies of a Buddha, and he summarises them by quoting Maitreya's Ornament for Clear Realisation, where the verse reads, "Nature, complete enjoyment, likewise emanating as others, and the truth body's activities are expressed as the 4 aspects." And then Geshe-la goes into a wonderful, clear definition and explanation of these 4 bodies. So there's, as with a lot of the content of this chapter, there's quite a lot of technical detail. The best way of getting across it is first to study and then to do analytical meditation, so that we have a clear and an understanding of these 4 bodies that we can call on at any time. And the reason for that is that we're aspiring to attain Buddhahood. We are aspiring to realise the Dharma Jewel. We are aspiring to rely on the Sangha Jewel. And for our reliance to be sincere and meaningful, we need to have a complete understanding of each of the refuge objects. So, firstly, Geshe explains the nature body, and he explains that it is defined as a final state that is endowed with what are referred to as two purities. So the first is purity from adventitious defilements, and the second is the natural purity. And he also then said the next thing he says after that is that it is both a Buddha's cessation, that is the nature body, is both a Buddha's cessation and pure nature. And we can see that those two, so he's introduced two concepts, the two purities, and then the concept of the Buddha's cessation and pure nature, and we can see that those two are related to the two purities. So, firstly, the natural potential, the nature body is a Buddha's cessation because the nature body is free from what are called the adventitious defilements. Now, the adventitious defilements refers to obscurations to liberation and the obscurations to omniscience. They are defilements because they are obstructions. They are obstructions to our full realization of Buddhahood, and they are adventitious because they're temporary, they're impermanent. They are not temporarily, they obscure the mind, but they are not fundamental to the nature of the mind. And Geshe says that it's this aspect of the nature body, that is the fact that it's free from these obstructions, that allows a Buddha's complete enjoyment body and emanation body to generate actions and deeds for the benefit of others spontaneously and effortlessly. So it's a Buddha's cessation because these adventitious defilements have ceased through the attainment of enlightenment. And therefore it's related to the first purity because the first purity is purity from the adventitious defilements. Secondly, the nature body is the Buddha's pure nature because it's the emptiness of inherent existence of a Buddha's omniscient mind. And so this is related to the second purity. Geshe says that it's this nature, this pure nature of the Buddha's, this pure nature, this emptiness of inherent existence, that when we're talking about a sentient being's mind or their mental continuum, that's what we refer to as the natural potential, the emptiness of inherent existence of a sentient being's mind, or of the continuum of virtuous minds in particular. In the case of a Buddha, the emptiness of that same continuum is known as the nature body. And Geshe explains that this quality of the nature body has always been the pure nature of mind. It's not something that's produced. It's not something that results from the Buddha's accumulation of merit and wisdom and so forth. It is simply the natural state of mind. It has no origination. It has no disintegration. It's a permanent phenomenon. It's an emptiness, and it's an ultimate truth. Also, Geshe makes the point that the Buddha's omniscient mind, that is the wisdom truth body that we're about to talk about next, pervades all phenomena, and because the Buddha's wisdom truth body pervades all phenomena, so does the nature, the ultimate nature of the Buddha's omniscient mind. And so therefore we can say that the nature body also pervades all phenomena. Also, it's worth noting that although the nature body as well as the wisdom truth body is referred to as a mental body, the nature body isn't mind. And of course it isn't form. The nature body is the pure nature of mind, though. It cannot actually be mind because the nature body is a permanent phenomenon and mind is always an impermanent phenomenon. Next, Geshe explains the wisdom truth body, and he says, this is on page 299, that it's defined as a final wisdom consciousness that perceives all modes and varieties of objects of knowledge. And again, this has two aspects. So when it says it's a final wisdom consciousness perceiving all modes of objects of knowledge, that refers to the fact that a Buddha's wisdom directly perceives emptiness, or the ultimate truth, the nature of all phenomena. When it refers to the Buddha's final wisdom consciousness perceiving all varieties of objects of knowledge, it's referring to the fact that the Buddha's omniscient wisdom also perceives all conventional truths, and that it simultaneously knows every object of knowledge without exception, past, present, and future. And again, because the wisdom truth body perceives all phenomena, it engages all phenomena, and therefore it is said to pervade all phenomena. So again, this can be a useful basis for reflection and meditation, the fact that both the wisdom truth body and the nature body can be described as pervading all phenomena. So we can take some time to think about that and reflect on that. Our own body at any time, our mind at any time, pleasant objects, unpleasant objects, places and so forth, whatever we're going through at any time is actually pervaded by the pure nature of the Buddha's truth body. So this can be a helpful reflection and can give us a sense that enlightenment, the pure nature of the Buddha, isn't something that's completely remote and divorced from us, that it's actually pervading every fabric of our experience if we reflect like that. So this is not only a pleasant and motivating reflection, but also this text makes the point that it has a valid basis. It's not imagination. It is actually the case that the Buddha's wisdom consciousness pervades all phenomena at all times, including our own mind. The third type of body, so the first of the Buddha's form bodies, is the complete enjoyment body. And again, Geshe Loden gives the explanation of the definition on page 299, that a complete enjoyment body is a final form body that possesses 5 definite characteristics, those of abode, body, retinue, doctrine, and time. So the complete enjoyment body always abides in a highest Pure Land, unlike the emanation body, which will not always display the major marks and minor signs of a Buddha. The complete enjoyment body always will. The retinue or followers of the complete enjoyment body are always bodhisattvas or Mahayana practitioners, and the complete enjoyment body teaches only the Mahayana Dharma. Definite time refers to the fact that in this form, the Buddha abides without displaying birth or death. So unlike, for example, the emanation body, so for example, the emanation body of Shakyamuni Buddha did display birth, old age and death, Mahaparinirvana. The fourth type of body is the emanation body, and this is defined as a final form body that does not have those 5 definite characteristics that we just covered in the complete enjoyment body. The emanation body manifests from the enjoyment body, but in a form that ordinary beings are able to perceive. So, as explained with the complete enjoyment body, it can only be perceived by superior bodhisattvas. Therefore, in order to be able to connect with and be perceived by ordinary beings, Buddhas manifest in the form of an emanation body in order to perform action of teaching, blessing, guiding, and so forth. There are three main types of emanation body. So firstly, there's the supreme emanation body. So this refers to the type of body that's displayed by a Buddha of a particular eon, such as Shakyamuni Buddha in this age, who manifested 2,600 years ago. But Buddhas can also manifest in other forms. So Geshe explains there are forms such as artisan emanation bodies and also birth emanation bodies, where it's possible for an enlightened being to manifest as an ordinary person, or even as with the appearance of an inanimate object, where that's beneficial to other living beings, but dependent on their karma. So after setting out those four definitions, then Geshe gives a few more comments about how we actually progress towards accumulating the merit for the experience of these four bodies. So he explains that enlightenment is a dependent arising, that we all have the cause to realise these four Buddha bodies in the form of Buddha potential. Geshe says that the more we reflect on these four bodies of a Buddha, then the deeper our confidence and understanding of the nature of a Supreme Being. Although the qualities of the Buddha's body seem extraordinary, they simply depend on purifying the mind, on realising our Buddha potential. The more that through the practice of Dharma that we remove our negativities, the more we remove our obstructions, the clearer our Buddha potential becomes, and the more it's evident and apparent in everything that we do. And ultimately, our very own Buddha potential becomes a truth body. Geshe reminds us that attaining enlightenment isn't a sudden occurrence. It isn't just like going into a dark room and switching a light on. It's a cumulative experience. It's the result of preparing the mind through consistent practice of meditation study. Another aspect of that is not only is it not a sudden occurrence, but the benefits of it accrue. So it's not as if through the practice of Dharma we gain no benefit until we actually receive the full realisation of Buddhahood. Day by day, the more we're able to reduce our negative minds, develop our positive minds, the more our happiness increases, the more beneficial we are to others. Geshe reminds us that so we all have this Buddha potential. The extent to which we realise it depends on our own efforts. And he quotes Maitreya's Sublime Continuum, where there's an example to illustrate this of a family who live in a very poor, simple hut, and unbeknownst to them, beneath the dirt floor of that hut, there's an enormous hoard of gold. So they go about their lives with this enormous wealth immediately before their feet that could completely transform their existence, but because they're unaware of it, it's of no benefit to them. So in our case, our Buddha potential is similar to that. It's so close to us. Normally, we have no recognition or awareness that it's there. But if step by step we do our best to remove the obscurations to our Buddha potential, it's like uncovering this extraordinary treasure. The other example that Geshe gives is that it's like that our Buddha potential is like a jewel that's temporarily covered with dust. But if we polish the jewel, then step by step it becomes clean and clear. And in the same way, if we practice and meditate, the more the pure nature of our own mind is polished and becomes evident. Again, and this is a theme that Geshe gives continuously through Path to Enlightenment, but again he reminds us of it here, that this is possible simply because our mind is not by nature deluded. It isn't by nature limited. And even at an ordinary level, we can see this in the fact that even ordinary worldly subjects were able to increase our understanding, our skill, and so forth. And for that same reason, because the realization of our Buddha potential simply depends on cause and effect, if we engage in the practices of Dharma, doing our best step by step, then we move closer to this state of enlightenment. Geshe Loden then gives a shorter explanation of the qualities of a Buddha's speech. So this begins on page 303. He says that these qualities are without limit, but they can be summarised in the 64 melodious rhythms, although he doesn't actually list those 64 here. We can look at other texts in order for an explanation of that. But he does explain that in general, a Buddha's speech has extraordinary ability to influence and affect the experience of living beings. So an example that's commonly given is that if everyone in the universe were to ask the Buddha a different question at the same time, a Buddha would be able to answer that question in that person's own language, according to their own, at a level that was suitable to their own understanding, with a single word. So he says, for example, that a single word such as impermanence, if we take the English word, that would be heard in different realms, in different places, in the language that was meaningful to each being, and that would properly answer their question. And only a Buddha's speech has this quality. Another example is that Guru Shakyamuni Buddha taught 3 versions of the Perfection of Wisdom Sutra at the same time. So the extensive version with 100,000 verses, the medium with 25,000 verses, and the small 8,000 verses. And the reason that he taught these different versions was because of the different capacity of different followers at any particular time. And it's said that different listeners, although these different versions of the teaching were given at the same time, each practitioner heard the version that accorded with their own ability to understand. Also, it's said that a Buddha's speech isn't affected by distance. And of course, we're talking here about either the speech of a supreme emanation body or of the enjoyment body. He also comments that the sound of a Buddha's speech will instantly pacify the mind of a listener. That a person who hears it quickly and easily becomes very relaxed and happy, and that their delusions, suffering and mental agitation are quickly pacified. And a way perhaps of relating to that or of getting into that might be to reflect on our own experiences of hearing the speech of great lamas, such as His Holiness the Dalai Lama or Geshe Loden. So I'm not saying it's exactly the same type of thing, but people commonly have the experience that merely being in the presence of His Holiness the Dalai Lama, merely hearing him explain simple elementary concepts of compassion, love, wisdom, and so forth, that those are remarkably powerful in settling our mind down. They're remarkably joyful to listen to. So if we can reflect like that based on our own experience, perhaps it gives us some way of understanding, of relating this to the qualities of a Buddha's speech. Then there's an explanation of the qualities of the Buddha's mind, which begins on page 304, and this is a larger section. So basically, firstly, there's a general introduction that is followed by an explanation of the 10 powers that only a Buddha possesses, and after that, there's an explanation of other listings of qualities and attributes of a Buddha. So Geshe begins by explaining that the Buddha's omniscient mind perceives all phenomena simultaneously, both past, present, and future. Unlike ordinary beings, where we find it difficult or impossible to concentrate on more than one object at the same time, the Buddha's wisdom truth body is able to hold in mind every object of knowledge without exception at the same time. Also, a Buddha is able to hold all objects of knowledge, cognizing both their ultimate nature and their conventional nature. A Buddha is also able to directly perceive the karma of all living beings. And this, of course, is of great importance to the Buddha's ability to teach and benefit others. A Buddha that encounters any living being is able to directly perceive that living being's mental states and whether they're producing positive or negative karma. If you were to come across a Buddha would be able to give a complete explanation of the karmic causes that had brought you to the point that you're at in your life now, and the karmic causes that we have created and the potential results that we will experience right now. And this ability to perceive karma directly is one that only Buddhas possess. Geshe then goes into this explanation of the 10 powers, and again, a useful way to approach these is to use them as a basis for analytical meditation. We could do an analytical meditation reflecting on each of these 10 powers and so forth, or if we don't have so much time, for example, we could just cover 3 or 4 or 5, but it's a good way of refining and deepening our understanding of the qualities of the Buddha's mind. So we'll go through Geshe's explanation of the 10 powers quickly. So the first is the power of knowing sources and non-sources. And this means that a Buddha directly perceives that negative karma is the source of suffering and that positive karma is the source of happiness. So this isn't simply a logical understanding. This isn't simply the understanding that we might have based on having been taught that by a Buddhist teacher. This is the direct recognition of the relationship between actions motivated by negative minds and actions motivated by positive minds. A Buddha knows the result of every karma, so knows the precise karmic cause of every result that any living being would experience and when they created that cause. A Buddha perceives the inclinations of living beings. So if we set out to benefit somebody, we don't really know where they're at. We can't perceive their minds directly. We can't know at any time what word, what deed is actually going to be of use to them. We don't actually know whether it might be harmful to them sometimes. Because a Buddha is able to perceive the inclinations of beings, what will be useful for them at any time, a Buddha is able to accomplish perfect benefit for living beings. A Buddha knows the various constituents of existence. So this means knowing all physical universes, the conditions in those physical universes, and at both a gross and subtle level. So a way to think about this is that through the scientific investigation of the 21st century, we now know a great deal more about the nature of the physical universe and about the very subtle particles that constitute the physical universe based on inferential cognition, a great deal more than any human beings have ever known so far as we're aware. A Buddha, however, perceives all of this directly, plus, of course, all of the things about the physical universe that we don't currently perceive or understand, and that we may not be capable of currently perceiving or understanding. A Buddha knows the higher and lower faculties of sentient beings. They know how much wisdom or compassion any individual has at a particular time, the particular delusions that are the strongest at any particular time. Again, this is useful because a Buddha would be able to perfectly instruct us on what we should give priority to in order to develop our practice, to develop our mind in a positive way. The Buddha knows all paths, so that means knowing the appropriate paths to every goal, in particular the pathway minds that are referred to in the third noble truth. So Buddha is able to understand and present the 5 paths, the paths of accumulation, preparation, insight, meditation, and no more learning of hearers, solitary realisers, and bodhisattvas. Knows it precisely, knows exactly what to do, what every living being should do. A Buddha knows the meditative stabilizations, absorptions, liberations, and concentrations. That means knowing all positive thoughts such as faith, wisdom, compassion, everything the precise opponent for each of the 84,000 delusions. How it is we can eliminate our delusions and escape from psychic existence. A Buddha knows previous lives, so that means perceiving their own previous life as well as every other living being's previous lives, as well as their future lives. A Buddha knows death and rebirth, knows when and where each being will die and when or where they will be reborn, and knows the extinction of contamination. So a Buddha is able to see all beings' liberation, when that happens and how that happens, and so forth. So that's probably a good place to leave off. What I'd suggest is that people might like to read the presentation of the other classifications that are given here in this explanation of the qualities of the Buddha's mind, such as the 4 fearlessnesses, the 4 accurate individual perceivers, and the 18 unshared qualities. I'll think about whether or not we cover those in the next class. In many ways, they're presenting many of the qualities of the Buddha's mind that we've talked about, but in a different way. And as I said, they're suitable for analytical meditation, but they're certainly worth looking at closely. And otherwise, we'll continue with the explanation of the qualities of the Buddha's deeds, then the qualities of the Dharma and the Sangha, and then the next sections of this chapter. Bearing in mind we have 2 more classes, so it would be ideal to finish this subject of refuge in those 2 classes. So we will finish with the dedication prayers. We'll do the final prayer of the graduated path in English. By the 2 collections, vast as space, amassed with effort for a long time, may I become a chief of conquerors, a guide for all beings whose mind's eye is blinded by ignorance. Also in all lives, while not yet come to that, may Manjushri favour me with his compassion. Finding the supreme path, complete with all stages of the teachings, may I please the conquerors by practising well. By my precise understanding of the essential points of the path, with skillful means drawn along by strong compassion, and by dispelling the mental darkness of beings, may I uphold the conqueror's teaching for a long time. Where the supreme precious teaching has not spread, also where it has spread but become degenerate, with a mind deeply moved by great compassion, may I make clear this treasure of benefit and bliss. The stages of the path, excellently established by the marvellous deeds of the conquerors and their sons, give glory to the minds of those aspiring to liberation. May the conqueror's deeds be long preserved. May all humans and non-humans who remove the obstructions and establish conditions favourable to cultivating the excellent path never be parted for all of their lifetimes from the purest of paths which the Buddhas have praised. When someone makes effort to practice properly the 10 points of conduct of the Supreme Vehicle, may he always be assisted by the mighty protectors, and may oceans of good fortune spread out, reaching all. And we'll do the general dedication prayers in Tibetan and English. Gewandi Chebokun Sonam Yeshe Zog Zog Jin Sonam Yeshe Le Jong We Dan Ba Konye To Ba Sho. By this virtue, may all beings complete the collections of wisdom and merit and attain the 2 holy bodies arisen from wisdom and merit. Jiangju Sem Chogrim Boche Ma Che Panam Che Jo Che Che Panyamba Me Paye Gong Ne Gong Du Pel Ba Shu. May the precious superior mind of enlightenment be generated in those who have not yet generated it, and not decrease in those who have developed it, but increase continuously. Okay, thank you very much, everybody. Special thanks to Manikam, as always, and hope you have a wonderful week, and hopefully see you next week. Thanks very much. Bye.